It's like singing, any of the panelists. I'm gonna say to everybody that is joining in slowly, I apologize for my voice, and if I have a little cough, I'm just getting over an asthma attack, so I don't have COVID. So yeah, welcome. We have about 80 people sign up for this webinar. So hopefully everybody can attend, and those people that cannot attend, we always archive this meeting, we always record it, and make sure that it is available to everybody. So with that, I'm going to just start jumping in. So the etiquette here on our meetings, this is a creative economy meeting. These meetings were designed for the community. As I learn about opportunities, as the Atrium builds opportunities, and as our community has opportunities, I feel like it's important that we connect across silos, from filmmakers to artists to muralists to fashion designers. All of us need to connect and know each other, and we can build up our community stronger. So we're here to share ideas and opportunities, and all are welcome. Kindness and sustainability is key to everything that we do at the Atrium, and we bring that here into these meetings too. Different perspectives is what makes a community stronger. So you might hear different opinions, different perspectives. Please always assume positive intent when you hear a different opinion, or when speaking or responding to somebody. And we're all here to be supportive and help each other. Collaboration over competition is what makes a community thrive. And this is really important, that we help each other, because the stronger the community, the stronger we can all rise. Let me see here. The webinar features that we have here. The webinar is being recorded, so both the chat and the QA will be archived always at the atrium916.com/creative economy. We have a Q&A feature, so to ensure your questions get answered, please ask the questions in the Q&A module. That way, any of the panelists, if you're asking a question to one of the panelists, please ask, hey, I wanted to ask this question, and that way they can answer it. It helps a lot. Don't ask your questions in the chat. I mean, you can, and we might catch it, but we might not. So it's best to ask them in the Q&A. The chat feature is where panelists and attendees can share links and resources that are being discussed or that are not being discussed, and you think that should be added into the conversation. Again, the chat with the Q&A gets archived, and please be kind, share your ideas, share your struggles. We want the panelists, and we want government wanting to know what struggles are out there. So we at the Atrium, or panelists that are here on the meeting, can know how to address those, or if they're planning a grant ahead of time, what they need to look out for. So it's really helpful if you share those things. Land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we are on the territory of the Nisenan people, as well as additional unrecognized tribes. We honor the people and the elders here today, the ancestors and the people who died in genocides past and present. People of color, religious background, sexual orientation, and indigenous people have been affected by hundreds, if not thousands, of years of racism, colonization, and genocide. Significant disparities persist in economic opportunity and environmental well-being in our region and beyond, and this should always be considered. Diversity is essential to our ability to survive and thrive. The Atrium encourages, nourishes, and fosters community. Sorry, I missed that one. Hold on. Because community-driven ideas and community-driven solutions are destined to thrive when given the necessary resources and support to advance. We commit to innovate and improve to be the needed support that builds a kind, creative, inclusive, and sustainable future. So the agenda today will be, after me will be Melissa Cerrone. She works with the city of Sacramento. She is the grants, I don't know, Melissa, how should I describe you? You do so much. How should I describe you?
You can call me grants manager right now for today.
Okay, grants goddess it is. And then Priscilla Enriquez, she is Arts Advocacy One Opinion. She's actually works with the She is with the Arts Commission. She's an arts commissioner, and she's here to kind of talk to us about arts advocacy from her perspective. Emily Leon, she's a community engagement manager with the Community Murals Sacramento. She has some cool opportunities. And Sammy Ann and Gregory Schilling, they are going to talk to us about a gallery opening that's happening this Friday. And Dawn Spinella with Citizens of Planet Earth. She's one of our producers with Citizens of Planet Earth, and she's going to talk about that program, and her own film that is actually screening on Friday as well. So a little bit of about the Atrium. If you don't know about the Atrium, this is your first time, welcome. We're a creative innovation center for sustainability. We're all about building creative solutions and elevating our creative community, because we believe that creatives are our problem solvers. And they're the ones that we need to bring to the table, to bring to board meetings and help solve problems. They don't know that there's a box, so they always think outside the box. We're all about community, sustainability, and building our economy here. I'm going through this really quickly. We like to build a circular economy. This is really important to what we do. We want to design out waste, and we believe creatives are the best people to design out waste. So the goal is not to extract, use, and dispose, but to build things so that can be used indefinitely, reuse, and not have waste. And that is better for the economy, better for people, better for the planet. Fancy transitions here. One thing that I would recommend to do in between our creative economy meetings, we have a page on our website called Resources, and we always place there any grants or opportunities that are happening in between our meetings. We're putting up there. It always will mark when it was last updated, so you can see if we've been slacking or not. But feel free to go there and check it out. It will take you links to all these wonderful grants and opportunities that we find. So as we find opportunities for the Atrium and for artists, we want to share that with you too. Starting Saturday, May 28th, we're going to start up again our Saturday Eco Art Market. So you'll be able to vend in Old Sacramento by the tourist train from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can just go to our website and go to, if you're one of our artists, so you can apply to be one of our artists and you get a password, and you can sign up for vendor spots. That will be under programs and Eco Art Market. This is a great opportunity to come. We only charge $25. It's not a lot, but it really helps our organization. There's a train people get on. It's a tourist train. People get on and off this train with the California Railroad Museum. So there's quite a bit of traffic there. It does get a little bit hot in the summer because we're Sacramento, but it's really cool. We have art and all kind of art activities there. So feel free to check it out. Our gallery space, we have a gallery space in a store. It's also a community gathering space for creatives. So if you're looking to expand your artistic craft or build up, create your own creative business and need help building the business side of your creative stuff, we're here to help. We are open 6 days a week from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and later on event evenings. And if you are trying to help build a kind, creative, sustainable future, we want to help you. So just come by any one of our staff. We have Laurel and Sammy Ann both here on the call, and you will meet either with them or Lily as well. So we have an amazing team and they are wonderful and willing to help. And with that, I'm going to put this over to you, Melissa. We're going to talk about the seeding creativity. So there are a couple of grants that are available right now that are really, really, really big and important. And I'm really excited to talk about them here. And with that, Melissa, I'm giving you the stage.
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen. And can you see that? We good?
Yes.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, Shira, for inviting me here today. I am Melissa Cerrone, and I run the grants programs for the City of Sacramento's Office of Arts and Culture. As some of you who are here today might have been at the webinar last evening. We did a webinar about this grant application. So if you listened to that, just indulge me here for a few minutes. This is going to be a more abbreviated version, and the entire webinar can be found on our YouTube channel, which is the Sacramento Office of Arts and Culture YouTube channel, and there will be a link to the Seeding Creativity webinar. So I'm really excited about this grant opportunity and talking about this grant because as a city office and funder for the arts in Sacramento, in my entire time here, primarily our grants are for organizations. We really rarely have grants that are specific to artists. So I think this is a wonderful direction that we're going in. Hopefully we're going to do more, and I'll tell you a little bit about another program coming up, but really it's a great opportunity to fund a part of the sector that's been really hard hit by the pandemic, obviously, and could really use our support right now. So before I talk about that, I do want to mention a couple of other grant programs that we have up and running that I think are also pretty exciting and may fit you better than this grant, or you may know somebody that you think this grant would be appropriate for. So I just want to run through those quickly. First is the Sacramento Arts and Culture Match Program, which we've just launched with a national nonprofit organization. It's called In Our Own Backyards, or IOB, and it helps folks secure donations for local arts and culture projects here in the city. It is a match program, so it is crowdfunding, but we'll support the match one-to-one. So if you wanted to raise $5,000 for a very specific project in your neighborhood, if you could raise $2,500, we would match it with $2,500 of our money. And the great thing about working with IOB is they know this community, they know this type of project, and they're really good thought partners. You basically just call IOB with your idea, they'll talk you through it, and they'll decide whether how you get ready to go into a crowdfunding campaign. So I think it's really a great opportunity for not only nonprofits, but businesses or community organizations, or just anybody who has an idea that they'd like to raise money for kind of quickly, and also build those muscles in terms of being able to raise individual donations, which we know are really important. The other grant just closed recently, but we will be offering another round in the fall. So I just want to briefly mention the Sacramento Film and Media Grant, and it's really to support projects that are shot here in Sacramento, and it will either pay production fees or post-production support with films that have locations in Sacramento. So I also encourage you to look into this one. And information about these grants and any other thing that I'm going to be talking about tonight can be found at our website, which is herearts.cityofsacramento.org/grants. So I would look into those. And the final grant that I've mentioned here is not open yet, and we're pretty early in the phases of designing it. We do know it's going to happen, and we've had approval for it, and that's our guaranteed income grant for individual artists. And the reason I wanted to mention it is because it's been in the news a lot lately, so people are talking about it. There's a bit of a buzz around it, but I want to differentiate it from the grant that I'm going to be talking about tonight. So again, it's not fully formed, and it probably won't be available for several months, but it's a little bit different. The differences are that the payments for this guaranteed income grant, rather than given to you in a lump sum, would be paid out over a period of time, like other guaranteed income grant programs. So it would be either monthly payments or quarterly payments. They would be incremental payments that you would get over a 2-year period. There would be no requirements to produce a final project, which there are requirements in this grant I'll be talking about. So once you're in the guaranteed income grant program, you get the money, and there is going to be nothing required of you. That grant program, you will need to be a Sacramento City resident. For the grant program I'm going to talk about tonight, you can be a county resident, so that makes a difference. And for the guaranteed income grant, you won't go through a peer selection process. So it's going to be more of a randomized process. So basically what I want to say is, if you apply for the Seeding Creativity Grant and you get it, you won't be eligible to apply for the Guaranteed Income Grant. Our goal is really to spread the funds out as widely as we can to as many artists as possible. So we want to make sure that different people can take advantage. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't apply for this one if you're thinking about the other one, because first of all, you have to apply and get it. And then you would even have the option to turn it down if you wanted to apply for the other one. But I would say that the amount of money that you would get for both grants is going to be almost equal. I think the guaranteed income grant might be about $800 more than this one. This one's 10,000. I think we've added the other one up to maybe $10,800. There will probably be more applicants for the other one. So again, there'll be more grants, but it might be more competitive. So I absolutely encourage you to apply for both. If you're an individual artist and you feel like you're eligible, don't pass one up to wait for the other one, because we don't want you to miss any opportunity. So really what I want to talk about is seeding creativity. We're excited about this because it is part of the American Rescue Plan program for the arts. It was re-granted from the National Endowment for the Arts. So they had a grant program and they put it out nationally, and we had to apply. And we had the option to apply to re-grant to either organizations or re-grant to individuals. And we chose to re-grant to individuals because we do have a lot of other programs that are working for arts organizations and nonprofits. And we knew that individual artists were really struggling. With $450,000, we're able to give out 45 grants, and they'll all be $10,000 each. And these grants are going to be considered a stipend. And we can talk a little bit more about that, but basically it's a stipend for your work. You do have to complete a project at the end of it, but you can use the money as long as it's for our eligible expenses, and that's in the guidelines. You can use the money however you want. So an individual does apply, but if that individual wanted to work with a contractor or another artist, they're free to use that $10,000 to pay other people. Or if that's just to create something on their own and they don't really need anybody else involved, $10,000 could be just for your work purposes and materials or anything like that. So we're going to keep that very open. And there are eligibility requirements. And again, I would send you to the webinar and the guidelines. There are some reporting requirements because they are federal relief funds. So you'll see some eligibility requirements that seem a little bit different for a city grant, but again, because we have to follow the chain up to the national reporting requirements for this grant, which is why you'll see a few more requirements, but the reports are going to be pretty easy and pretty user-friendly, I think, for artists. Oops, 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 oops. I'll go on to my next one. Okay, so who is this grant for? We say this grant is best for, or may be best for, originating artists. Again, because it involves a final project at the end, we say it could be good for originating artists. So what does an originating artist mean? It could be a playwright rather than an actor, a choreographer rather than a dancer. But we also know that the lines of your disciplines are more blurred than that. We know that an actor could create a workshop for youth with autism, for example. We know that a dancer could decide that they want to create something new for their company that's never been done before. So we really are leaving it up to you to define what it means to you to be an originating artist. We asked you to choose one of 4 pathways for this grant. So you can either do it for creation, presentation or performance, social impact, or research. And then your application should really address one of the pathways. Again, as I said, you have to produce a tangible product at the end of the project. So if you're creating something that would be tangible, if you're performing or doing a lecture or doing a presentation of some sort, then that public facing activity would be the final tangible project. And it's really important for this grant that you do something that can be achieved in the time frame allotted. And it's a 1-year time frame. And it's, there are no extensions for this grant. And if you've had grants for the city before, there have been opportunities to extend a grant if you can't get the work done. But this one has very firm deadlines. So we are asking people to really think about applying for something that they know that they can complete that seems really doable for them. Eligibility is basic. You must be over 18 years of age, a Sacramento County resident throughout the period of the contract. So again, you don't just have to be from the city. This is open to the county. We ask that you're not in a full-time degree program and that you have a 3-year recent history of creating, performing, presenting, exhibiting, or publishing. So that's pretty broad. Ineligible applicants, there's one thing that we can't do in this project that we often do in many others, and that are public arts projects. And that really has to do with some guidelines from the NEA, and it would make it very, very difficult to do any kind of public art project. So this really means no murals and no sculpture installations. We did decide to disqualify executive directors, managing directors, or artistic directors of our Office of Arts and Culture funded organizations. And I know that that's not always a popular decision, but we really did want these funds to go to people that didn't have necessarily access to be funded by an organization that we're already funding. And again, anyone who couldn't finish the project in a year would be ineligible. The disciplines are pretty open. I hope they seem all inclusive to most of you here. You can see them: crafts, dance, design, folk arts, literary arts, media arts, music, multidisciplinary arts, theater, and visual arts. I'm sure we left out some disciplines, but we really did want to focus it in a very specific arts area, and that's why we've chosen these disciplines. So you would be able to select up to 2 disciplines if you really were multidisciplinary. And I'm just going to go through really quickly the pathways. And one seems to be the most obvious, which is creation. That's self-explanatory, a project where the creation of an artwork is central, in which the artist functions primarily as an artist and draws upon the artist's creativity and problem-solving abilities. So obviously making a piece of visual artwork, creating a dance, works of poetry, film, graphic novel, probably the most easy category to define. Then another one is performance or presentation, and that's a project with public engagement with and access to the art form. The outcome of this project will really necessitate some kind of public component. So are you reinterpreting a Shakespeare play and want to perform it in a neighborhood center? Would you like to present a lecture on spoken word as a form of social emotional learning? There's so many different ways you can look at performance and presentation. We do accept lectures and workshops and anything that does have that public component. Research, we will actually look at research projects, and that's projects that would be related to the development of an artistic practice, a new series, or new work. So examples might include background research associated with new play development or an authored work, or explorations of new methods within an artistic practice, and investigations on the impacts of artistic practices related to social change. And finally, the last pathway is social impact, and that's a project that would utilize the artistic process to create positive change by addressing social injustice and challenges. And these projects may address racial inequity, disability, health equity, climate change, housing insecurity, neighborhood vitality, economic disparity, among many other issues. It's an application process. It's a very simple application you can find on our website. It'll be reviewed by a peer panel that have specialty within the pathways. We always look to a rubric, and that's described in the guidelines, but the elements of this rubric are originality, technical skill, and community impact. And the application is a form in our platform called Submittable. There's a link to it on our website. It'll ask you 2 eligibility questions. If you answer correctly on both of them, it'll bring you to the regular questions, which are really just the who, what, where of you, and your email address, your address, your name, and things like that. And then there are just 2 questions. One is an artistic statement, and it's based on a series of 3 questions that are all listed within the grant application, that you answer those, and that becomes your artistic statement. And a project concept, really talking about what you would hope to do. And again, 3 questions that comprise your project concept. So we try to keep it as objective as possible, if that's probably not the right word, but so that when a panel is looking at it, they're really comparing apples to apples, that people are presenting their materials in the same way, and they're not looking at CVs, and they're not looking at resumes, and that we're not making them comb through all of these elements that talk about who you are and your whatever, your prestige as an artist. It's really down to the very simple things that we really want to know for this project. We have a simple work history form. So again, you don't have to give us a long, typed up document that says everywhere you've performed or every place you've been shown. It's really just a form that you fill out, and it's got up to 20 spaces for you to put your information in about the recent work that you've done and where you've performed or presented or shown your work, or what publications you've been in. It's pretty simple and standard. And then your work samples. And there's lots of information on the webinar and in the guidelines about how to do good work samples. So these are the dates and deadlines. We had the webinar last night. The application closes June 20th, so you have about a month to complete it. I say it's a simple application, but I also want to say, take some time with it. Don't look at it, figure out, I could fill this out in a couple of hours or in an hour and get it done and submit it. Take your time and really look at it. Ask other people to look at it. You want to put your best face forward. You want to make sure all of your elements show you off to the greatest advantage. The awards will be hopefully will be awarded on August 8th, and that would allow us to begin funding in September. And it's a 1-year program, so it would go probably September to August. We do have mentors that can help you with the application, and they're taking appointments. They're booking up really quickly. So again, I would go to the website and check it out. And if you really would like a mentor, I would sign up for one as soon as possible. We just really hope to get a lot of great applications for this. I will put my information in the chat if there are other questions that I can't answer while I'm here. But again, I'll take a look at the Q&A and answer any questions that you might have about this. So that's me. Thank you.
Awesome. That is awesome. I do have one quick question while people, if you guys have a question, please put them in the Q&A, just so that way we can make sure that we're answering them, because there's a whole system in Zoom that allows us to make sure we're answering questions. How do you define an artist? Is a creative business, would you consider that an artist, or are you looking for a soul? So, I think there's a line, because some artists have made themselves a business and some artists. So how do you differentiate?
That's okay, as long as one person is submitting the application. So you are a person, but you are also the business of yourself. You're submitting your application based on, your personal information, and anything that you present in your work could be part of your business. That's really not a problem. We just can't take applications from groups of people. So we are funding each individual, which doesn't mean you can't have partners or that you can't have people that you pay to help you with this work. It just means you're getting the $10,000. So it would be based, Shira, if it were you submitting the application, it would be based on your work samples that you've created.
So again, I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Keep doing it.
So if there's let's say a dance studio that is working, it's led by one artist, and they have to take over some stuff there. Would they be able to apply to help, which is a dance studio that really helps the community? Would they be able to apply for their dance studio, or does it have to be the business has to be on the person?
It has to be, they would apply again on behalf of that person. And remember, this is very project oriented. Yeah. So this isn't just about helping you with your studio. It's a stipend to an artist to create or present work. in one of those pathways. So if you own that dance studio and you've always wanted to, present something to kids in the neighborhood, but you've just never had the opportunity, your project could be presentation, and it could be, elementary school students in this neighborhood who've never been able to attend a dance class. So there are many, many ways you can do it.
So it could be a series of art classes. It could be a
Yes.
series of, okay, great.
Yes,
We have
absolutely.
some questions in the Q&A.
Okay.
One from Marie. Where do we get mentors again? Can we-
Everything should take you to our website. So go to our website and then go to grants and grants for individuals. You do have to take a couple of steps on our website. But once you get to grants for individuals, it'll have this grant application. It'll have a link to the webinar. It'll have a link to the mentors, the guidelines, and the application. And please do read the guidelines carefully before you jump into the application.
Perfect. Okay, I'm typing that question. I'll type that one. How do you find a mentor for the grant? How do you find, okay, that's all the same one. Where can we see samples of previous projects that have been accepted?
Oh, I wish there had been, but this is the first time we're doing this. So there are no previous projects. What I just recommend to people is do something that is true to you. Originality is one of the pieces of the rubric. So we are looking for something that was cute. We are looking for something that's maybe a little bit different, something that's maybe pushing the boundaries of the work that you do. So feel free to be a little bit bold, be bold but realistic if that's possible. Do something that excites you.
I love it. Johnny has a question. If an artist previously received a creative economy grant, does that exclude them from this year's grant? I don't think so, right?
No, it does not. No.
No, it doesn't. I'm just going to write that. No. All right. Well, I think I'm going to let other people kind of bring in questions because we don't have them. We'll move on. We have a Q&A.
Yeah, move on. And can I go to the Q&A or no?
Yes.
Okay, I can answer them in the Q&A.
Yes, pretty,
Okay.
please.
Thanks.
You're amazing, Melissa. Thank you so much. I just want to say something. The Office of Arts and Culture recently has just been working really, really hard. It's not easy for a government to give money to individual artists. And for the reason being is that there are not systems really in place to do so.
No, there
aren't. And so the city had to really go above and beyond to figure out how they can make this government system work for artists that don't necessarily have all their things together and all their documents done. So it's really important. I'm going to throw this out there before we move on to the next thing. Try to get your stuff in order. The first step would be, one, open up a separate bank account that's for your business. Make it your business. It will be easier for you to do your taxes at the end of the year, I promise. Second is get an EIN number. That way, when you're giving out don't give out your social security number to everybody. It's not safe for you. An EIN number, it's free. It's free to do it. Get it and protect yourself. And third, the Atrium has collaborated with California Capital, which is Women's Business Center. So you can go to the Women's Business Center and you can sign up to be a client for free, and they will help you figure out your taxes, your business license, and all that boring stuff that we creatives hate. They will help you, and for free. So please go to them. We've collaborated with them, and we are sending a lot of artists over there to make sure that artists are getting their stuff set up properly. And if you have any more questions or anything, come to the Atrium. We're here for you. Okay, with that, I'm passing it over to Priscilla. Wait, I have a pretty slide here that I wanted to show really quickly, just because I made it, so I want to show it. Here's my slide. Woo woo. Okay. So we're going to be talking a little bit about creative advocacy. If you guys don't know, right now we are in budget season for the city. This is the time where the city goes like, okay, how are we going to spend our money for next year? What should we invest in? And so there's been a little bit of confusion on, what happens with the Office of Arts and Culture and their budget. Just to preface a little bit before Priscilla takes on, up until now, every year, and feel free to correct me if I'm incorrect, Melissa, but every year, the Office of Arts and Culture has to go and ask for additional funding. So the Office of Arts and Culture is not actually in the baseline budget that kind of like guarantees them money every year. They have to go and request money to be part of this budget, which makes it really difficult for them to think about long-term grants and long-term programs unless they get grants from elsewhere, which is how they've been able to get all this additional funding. So really, it's really important for us to vocalize and tell the city that, hey, we think this is important, that is important. You know, don't forget us. The city did really invest in us a lot these last 2 years through the CARES Act and now through the ARPA funds. But we still have a long way to go to be recognized to even be part of the budget. So that's my 2 cents. That's my opinion. I would love, like, if, you know, I would love to see us start advocating for us to be part of the budget. My opinion. Again, we're going to hear different opinions about how we should tackle this. And I think, you know, we have some time to figure this out, but I'm going to hand this over to Priscilla to kind of give us an update on what she thinks we should do.
Oh, Shira, thank you. You know, just listening, Melissa, you did a great job, and hearing you talk about the funding available is really inspiring. And so I think to start off with that, I mean, that's why arts are important and why they need to be funded. So let me just start off by saying, Shira asked me to speak today, you know, given the budget reduction, or the augmentation was not included in the general fund budget. And some other folks asked me to come today. First of all, I just want to thank everyone for being here. It's clear you all care about the community and the arts, and I'm just really grateful for everything that you do. But for starters, I just want to be clear, you know, I'm not an expert on the city budgeting process at all. So please don't ask me any questions because I don't know. I'm a member of the community. I do sit on the Arts Commission, but I'm not here representing the commission. So I just want to be clear about that too. And I think I'm here just because folks know that I've been involved in the community. I work in philanthropy and I've been involved in the arts going all the way back to the Great Recession. I don't know if you all remember For Art's Sake under former Mayor Kevin Johnson, and then worked on the Arts Day of Giving, which is the precursor to Big Day of Giving way back again. And then was a funder and a member of the steering committee of the Creative Edge Cultural Plan, which really is sort of like the backbone of where investment should go in the city. There was a huge community planning process around that. And a lot of the work that the office that Melissa works for is trying to address all the pillars in the Creative Edge plan. And again, that is also on the website. And if it's new to you, please go visit it and take a look. It's really comprehensive. And then today I work with a funder with a sizable fund for the arts, but in Fresno. And I can talk a little bit about that, why that's important to this discussion. I've been a board member. Oh, I see your little puppy back there, Shira. I've been a board member for several arts organizations and efforts in the city. So I just have this perspective from the community-wide lens, and I think that's why I'm here today. So that's where I'm coming from, knowing that arts is a community asset for the city. So as Shira started, you know, the appropriation, the augmentation for a lot of the programming was not included in the general fund budget. And I know that the one-time money from CARES and ARP, which is coming, Measure U gives the appearance of abundance, but we know that it's temporary. And I think my takeaway from that is we're really fortunate as a community that these funds have been made available for the arts. I mean, when we heard about all the appropriation for this, especially around CARES and ARP, we were just really excited. And I think that's the momentum that the arts community might want to seize on. You know, I mean, there's so much art that's been activated intentionally because, you know, everyone believes in the arts. But I think from where I sit as a member of the community, doing a lot of community work around philanthropy, there have been several shifts in the community that impacts the attention to the arts. This is just one view that I'm just offering. You know, we see homelessness, obviously, gun and gang violence, perceived or real. racial reckoning and equity for BIPOC-led efforts. We've seen a lot of shift in philanthropy around that. And then an inclusive economy to support a living wage, and of course, GBI. So you heard that earlier from Melissa. So, you know, all of these realities and urgent issues really impact how art is, can be, and should be framed. And I worry that the old narrative of, you know, losing funding for my program and for my work may not sit well or ring well with the decision makers, because they're wrestling with all these other big issues. However, and I feel like I'm preaching to the choir because you all know this, that I think the new narrative, and the narrative is that arts is healing. You know, this is Mental Health Awareness Month. You know, arts is what we call an upstream approach. It's not downstream, it's preventive. So these are the terms that we hear a lot of folks use in the community on how we should address issues in the community. And so I think working together as artists and arts organizations and other people in the community who work around mental health, who work around wellness, who work around youth violence prevention, who work around faith-based efforts, you know, whatever it may be, work in alignment and in solidarity with them is what I would say around the arts, and reframe that narrative. It's of course there's a moment of crisis when you worry about losing your funding, but I think, you know, let's capitalize on all the investments that's already been made. There's a lot of art that's been activated that we certainly don't want to lose for the community. I would say center the community, center marginalized communities, center the neighborhoods in your messaging. I think that's critically important. These are the things we hear from our communities as well. And then work proactively. You know, Shira, you mentioned this is an augmentation, so you have to go back and ask. Again, I don't know what the process is like that, but could there be another way in which the arts funding can be imagined? So how could you reimagine what arts funding could look like for the city? And I'll just give you an example. In Fresno, they worked to pass Measure P. So Google Measure P, Parks and Arts in Fresno. It was a retail and tax use ordinance, and it took 4+ years of planning, organization, a vote. It was on the ballot. There was a court case, and finally a decision, and the judge ruled in favor. And now the city will have $37.5 million just for parks and arts every year. So just imagine that, you know, and so again, that's work built around that takes time and organization. And so I just put that as an end in sight. You know, could that be the new destination for one destination, if you will, and how we can organize arts advocacy? I know that there's a call right now by Friends of the Arts, a letter writing campaign. I just got an email during the meeting. Oh, there, thank you for putting that in there, Shira, in the chat on Measure P. But I'll just end it there. I don't know if that was helpful, but again, that's just my view from where I sit, having worked in the community, and especially around funding the arts. And again, I just want to thank you, and I want to thank everyone who's here.
There's been, so just to kind of reiterate what has happened. So normally every year, you know, the city tries, in 2019, this happened where, you know, Office of Arts and Culture asked for 2.3, I don't remember, I think it was 2.3 million that year. And they originally were told, no, it's not being reduced. This is not it's not being reduced because it wasn't originally, and that's what's important to understand. It was never in the baseline budget. It's always something that has to be asked every year. And so what we're looking at is like, okay, this year, the arts and culture got a lot of money. And so kind of us coming, going like, hey, we need more money. Yes, we need to be vocal about it, but we also need to be sensitive that we were funded quite a bit these last 2 years. What we're looking at is what we need to look at is we need to look at long-term strategy. So I am part of a board called Sarah, and it's an organization that works on advocacy. And we're going to be strategizing with Sarah on the best way to go about this and how it can be. So if you guys want to give your opinion on how you think we should go about it, please look up Sarah, the Sacramento Area Regional Arts, and give them your opinion, how you think, join. And the thing is, if you are talking to city council, like if you're going to go and send an email voice message or speak on council meetings, which you can. It's free and it's great advertising for yourself too. So do it. But if you're going to be doing that, just make sure that you are kind and considerate. And yes, using the language that Priscilla said is like understanding where they're at, kind of like what other strings are being pulled by the council because they have to deal with a lot. So we never want to come across as like greedy and oh my God, we're asking for so much. No, it's really important to support the creative community because we are healing, we are supportive. And as Priscilla said, we are the upstream approach. Is that right? Upstream approach, Priscilla? Okay. I think that's awesome.
Can I just add one more thing,
Yeah.
Shira? You said something that, I think a lot of people don't get in touch with their council members or what have you. And if you decide to do that, I think it's just great to meet them, let them know who you are and what you do. And like that alone is so valuable because that just says so much, without even saying, I mean, obviously we want, but we need funding for the arts, but just letting them know that you're there in their district doing this work in their community really makes a difference. So I'll just put
that is so true. Just like if you're like, hey, we have a dance studio that supports the community doing XYZ. Hey, I do a community mural that helps XYZ. This is what we do. They can connect the dots and go like, oh my God, how this helps the community. They can do that. But it's important that they know that we are out there actually doing the work. And that's what artists do. We just go and do the work. We don't know how it impacts all the fancy government words that they like to use. We're like, no, we just know what works and we go ahead and do it, So anyway, I'm going to move on because we don't have much time. Emily, wait a minute. Let me show my screen because I did a fancy little thing. Here we go. So Emily, yes, share. Is my okay? We're sharing. Yay. So Broadway Block Party and Commuter Mural Paint Day. I'm going to let you take it away, Emily.
Awesome. Thank you, Shara. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me here today. It's great to be here and hi to all the invisible people that are watching. So my name is Emily Lowen. I'm the Community Engagement Manager for Community Murals Sacramento. You've heard a lot about the Office of Arts and Culture today. We are actually a pilot program through the Office of Arts and Culture. We're run by Donald Gensler, who's the Arts in Public Places Manager. And Community Murals Sacramento is just a one-year pilot program that launched last June with the support of City Council. We hired 39 local muralists to 39 local muralists, and then they're in 10 teams throughout the city. So with at least one artist team in each district. And over the course of a couple of months, the artist team met with houses of worship, community groups, businesses to collaboratively design a mural that would reflect the neighborhood identity. And actually, we have one of our community mural artists here in the chat today, Gregory Schilling. He led the District 7 mural. So Shara, if it's okay, I'd love to share my screen just to show a little bit more about what I'm talking about, if that's okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, awesome.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Can you all see my screen okay? Yeah, okay, cool, awesome. So this is our website, Community Murals Sacramento. You can go and check it out and see all the really cool work. But yeah, so I'll go over to Gregory's page here.
Gregory, we're highlighting you a lot.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, well, it's a great piece. So Gregory worked with Common Ground Church for a few months, holding community engagement workshops, getting ideas, kind of finding out what the values are of the community, and then designed a mural. And he and his team drew the mural on these very large walls and then numbered the mural. And then we held a community mural paint day where the public came out and actually painted in the mural. So it was a really amazing day. And in addition to painting, we have food, we have music, we have vendors. So it really becomes a free festival for kids and families, really anybody who's interested. And you don't need any art experience. I feel weird talking about Gregory's work with him here. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, the photos that you're showing are of one of the best days of my career. I really owe a lot to the Office of Arts and Culture because I was able to take the time and have the resources to put this together. And having 200 people come and participate in a mural that I designed felt pretty indescribable. And so that mural got finished up a couple of months ago. We got to present it to the community, and it was a really beautiful experience. I think that this kind of project is the type of thing that I want to be doing in the future.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so we have, as I mentioned, we have 10 of these sites, and we have actually an upcoming community mural paint day on Sunday, May 29th in District 4, which is downtown Sacramento. The walls that are being painted are actually the ABC 10 studio building, led by the artist Ryan Rhodes. So we're having a block party. We're making it big. It's our second to last one. We're closing down 5th Street between Broadway and First. We'll have music and food and a car show and yoga by Yoga Moves Us. And so anyway, so I'm here because we'd love to invite people to vend. So if you're interested in being a vendor, there's no fee. We just ask that you donate a small piece for the raffle prize. The event is 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., set up about 8:39. And if you're interested, I will drop my email in the chat. And I'll stop sharing.
Perfect. Emily, can you share a link where people can sign up for that in the chat?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. That would be awesome. Yeah, I think so. It's a free vending opportunity. Go vend. Get some recognition by ABC 10. They'll probably be filming this as part of doing coverage of it, I'm assuming, right, Emily?
That's right. Yep.
Awesome. So you get yourself out there. There's lots of free opportunities and everything else. Like we are fortunate. I think we have an Office of Arts and Culture that has been just really rising up to the occasion with, you know, what they have and have done amazing work. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, so I'm going to go to our next thing, which is I'm going to introduce Sammy Ann. Sammy Ann is our gallery director, and I'm going to share my screen here just for a little bit because, again, I made this fancy thing here. Got to share it, and there we go. She's our gallery director. Sorry, they are a gallery director. Sammy Ann's our gallery director at the Atrium, and leads a lot of events at the Atrium, and we do a lot. So take it away, Sammy.
Thank you, Shira. I'm so excited to be speaking to you all. First off, we have Gregory, who you just saw his gorgeous mural work showing at the gallery tomorrow evening. He'll be our 3rd gallery show since we converted the space into a official rotating art gallery for local Sacramento artists, and we're so excited to have you. That'll be from tomorrow from 6 to 8 p.m. Come hang out with us. Gregory will be giving a little artist talk. We'll have an open floor interview, so audience members, you're allowed to come and pick his brain and talk to him about his art and his inspiration. We'll have Casey kombucha there and wine poured by lovely volunteers. So we would love to just like share the space with you. Our other big event coming up this weekend, we have our Saturday night art mixer. So I've been putting together these art mixers almost monthly, and they're basically just a evening to connect with the rest of the creative community. So whether you're an established Sacramento artist or you're someone who just like enjoys the arts, it takes no artistic experience. We set up collaborative pieces to work on in small groups. Each table essentially has a different piece of art for you to work on. And throughout the evening, I give prompts and directions to guide each project. And you get to rotate through from table to table and meet every single person there at the mixer. So by the end of the evening, we have these like fantastic abstract works of art that every single person's hands have touched. And you've met a bunch of people in the Sacramento creative community that you might not have crossed paths with before. So come out tomorrow evening, hang out with Gregory, come out Saturday, same time, 6 to 8. I'll pop the Eventbrite link down into the chat for each of those so that you can reserve spots. And we'd just love to have you come see the Atrium in person and see what our nonprofit's all about and what it feels like to like be part of our happy little community on the boardwalk.
Yay! Thank you, Sammy Ann. Yeah, we've been doing these events and we love doing them. It's a great way to connect. And thank you, Sammy Ann. You are amazing at leading these events. A lot of people have come and gone like, oh, she's bossy, but like good bossy, you know? So thank you, Sammy Ann. You're amazing. So lastly, I think, how do you get to the gallery showing? Email Sammy Ann. Sammy Ann, if you could put your email in the chat, that would be great. So some of you know, maybe don't know, we have been busy producing a TV series for PBS the last year. This has been a project that has been ongoing and has transitioned. So it started also as a project that we were asking people to submit content to us. The content that we got wasn't really broadcast ready and we couldn't work it enough to make it broadcast ready. So we really transitioned the project altogether and turned it into a 6-episode PBS TV series that's going to air on KVIE. Each episode focuses on a different sustainability aspect and has a host, which Gregory is one of our hosts, actually. I know we're totally pulling you in all kinds of directions here.
Seriously.
But each one has a solution, a sustainability solution and a transformation. And they've been really, really insightful. I feel like we've all learned. I'm excited to introduce Dawn here, who was one of our segment producers. So we had six of them. And Dawn, I'd love you to talk about what you thought about the project and and your own project.
Yeah, thank you. It was exciting to come aboard, and can you hear me okay? Because I have my fan on. Okay. It was exciting to come aboard and be a part of the whole process. And I did the cosmetics. I was so lucky. I got to do the cosmetics and skincare segment, and doing the research on it was really wonderful because I got to dive into some of the folks who have products over at the Atrium and see what the Atrium represents. And I loved learning that we have so much available just in Sacramento alone as far as natural skincare and even cosmetics, natural cosmetic options here in Sacramento. But even on a bigger scale than that, I realized that I became acutely aware of my own footprint after experiencing the green set. I already recycle and I do a lot of that kind of stuff anyway, but it really brought it to my attention was even more focused. Like, okay, how can I bring my own fork with me in places that I go? How can I be even more mindful about the footprint that I'm leaving? So that was kind of my experience and recognition there, and that was great. And I really enjoyed working with a lot of the local artists. I'll tell you one thing that was a challenge was finding women to crew my project. I was, I love men, but I also wanted to bring women into the fold. And that kind of leads me over. Can I segue into my own project at this point? Okay. So I'm a filmmaker. I'm a writer. I'm an artist. I have been making films for a very, very long time and producing, directing, editing. I mean, I do all of that. And at the foundation of it is storytelling. And so I approached, obviously, our cosmetics episode from that perspective. And when I went to crew, I found that I couldn't find a female DP. I couldn't find many female behind the scenes photographers. I couldn't find a female sound person. It was really challenging. That came because about a year ago, I became involved in a group down in Los Angeles, and I would commute down there, called Women in Media, and they ended up selecting one of my scripts to produce as executive producers. And it was a small group of us Sacramento women who created this project. I wrote, directed, and produced, but several of the other women that were local also became producers in the project. We're doing our Sacramento premiere tomorrow night from 6 to 8, and it's at Uptown Studios. And I do have a few comp tickets I can still send out if people are interested. It's a short film. It was shot down in Los Angeles, and it's pretty impressive. Let me share my little. Let me share my screen here. For what we were able to do. Now, women in media. Can everybody see that? Our poster. Can you guys see that?
Yes, yes.
Okay. It's called Smashed. It's an action comedy romp, and it's about a home shopping network hostess here who has a meltdown on live television when she realizes that she has really let her daughter down, not just today, but for the last 18 years. As this woman who's pursued a career so that she could support her daughter has realized that she's chosen to work her ass off instead of always being able to be there. So it's that kind of thing that mothers deal with on a daily basis. And that would be me. So yes, it's based on my life. I'm not a home shopping network hostess, but I totally resonate with the guilt of working a lot in order to support my daughter, and yet not always being there and putting her as a priority, even though I think she is my priority. So anyway, it's that conundrum of what we choose and why, and how we deal with our own guilt trips. And so tomorrow night I am making some bourbon balls that I'm going to be sharing, because on the episode she's selling bourbon balls, and as she eats these, running around trying to meet her quota to get offset, she gets drunker and drunker, and she starts out, one way and ends another. So it's fun. But we are 95% female or female identifying on this project. And that's super cool, because we had our whole camera crew was female or female identifying, and they called themselves the queer crew. I didn't make that up. And that's amazing when you have a 6-person crew, camera crew, women or female identifying. We had every position was a strong female position, and we busted our butts. I had a 75-person crew to do this. Most everything was donated. So tomorrow night we're going to talk about how we did this, what it was like to work with an organization like Women in Media, and how you can possibly get your own shorts supported at an executive producing level, how we did the fundraising campaign, all kinds of different, how what we're doing to bring that idea back to Sacramento to create more women
I love
filmmakers in our crew. So yeah. And I am actually working this summer on a couple of projects, and I'm picking up the camera now and starting to DP, because I was so frustrated that I couldn't find a DP locally, as a female DP, that I'm like, I'm going to start filling these shoes. Then I'm going to start making this kind of stuff happen. So anyway, I will put my email, right? I know,
Yes.
right? I'm going to put my email in the chat, and then you can contact me, reach out to me if you're interested in attending. I do have a few comp tickets that I would happily share. If you have the money, the tickets are $10. It's really not a big deal, but it's going to be a lot of fun, and you can come out and meet some other local filmmakers, find out what's going on, do a Q&A. We have people coming up from LA to also be part of the panel. And we had a musician, I think she's like a Yale graduate, who wrote our original theme song, and she's going to be performing that and talking as well. So it's gonna be a fun evening.
So
Yeah,
you're gonna have like 2 events happening tomorrow evening. You can come to Dawn's screening, or you can come and see Gregory's opening. So whatever is interesting to you guys, there's lots of events, lots of stuff. If there are any other questions before we wrap up, we are 4 minutes over our clock time. But I don't see any more questions on the Q&A. If you do have, we are going to be archiving this. Everything was going to be on Atrium 916/creative economy. So if you go to our website, under programs, there'll be all our programs. Check us out. Remember to check the resources. Thank you everybody for joining. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving a shit about our community. I really appreciate it. So love to you guys all. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Loads of love, and see you tomorrow.
Thank
Bye
you.
guys.